So, Watcher came out this weekend. It's a thriller dealing with the horrors of voyeurism. I don't want to label myself as a perv or anything, but if Maika Monroe lived in a high-rise across from my apartment, I might be tempted to take a peek or two through the shades myself, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? I'm so lonely. Here's the review. Welcome back to ML Miller Frights. I'm ML Miller. Before we begin, please do me a favor and punch that like button down below. Share this video with all of your social media addicted pals. Click subscribe to this channel and ring that bell for notifications. Watcher is new in select theaters from IFC Midnight. It's directed by Chloe Okuno and written by Zack and Chloe Okuno. It follows Maika Monroe stars as Julia, who follows her husband, Francis, played by Carl Glusman, to his home country of Romania, where he is offered a job promotion. Even though she doesn't speak the language, Julia is eager to start her new life in Romania and hopefully find a new purpose in life, having been dissatisfied with her chosen acting career. Almost immediately arriving at their new apartment, Julia notices a man in the building across the street looking down into her own apartment at her. While her husband dismisses this as stress and paranoia, Julia believes the man across the street has ill intent for her as she sees him following her to the movie theater and to the grocery. It doesn't help that there is a serial killer on the loose who is slashing and decapitating young women in Julie's neighborhood. Still, it's unclear whether Julia is in real danger or it's just her isolation in this strange new culture causing this heightened paranoia. While in my opinion, Maika Monroe shot to superstar status with the 1-2 punch of It Follows and The Guest, she kind of fell off my radar recently. If she wasn't considered a star before Watcher, she definitely will be one now after this wonderfully nuanced and tragic performance as Julia. Monroe has a unique mystique to her, a beauty that is quite classical, but still has an edge that allows her to fit into the dark worlds she's chosen to enter in her film career. While she's playing a somewhat cliché role as the hysterical woman no one believes, there is still something unique about the way she looks and acts. Now, if you look through this video, you'll see a lot of shots of Monroe looking forlorn, and she does that look well and often in Watcher. But she's also able to convey an every girl-like ability that most stunners, such as she, are hard to achieve. We experience every moment of Watcher through Monroe's radiant eyes, and it makes the experience feel taboo and dangerous. This is because just as Julie is being stalked by a voyeur across the street, Julie is just as much a voyeur herself. She's immediately drawn to the window as soon as she enters. She finds herself zoning out in front of the window in the dark, looking into the windows across the street. The only reason she noticed she is being watched is because she herself was so enwrapped with people watching the world outside of her window. Later in the film, Julia begins stalking her peeping neighbor. She follows him all over the city, trying to find out details about him, and there's a wonderful moment in the film where the tables are turned and you begin to wonder who is harassing who here. While Julie is the sympathetic character we've been voyeuristically watching, there are moments where director Chloe Okuno really makes you wonder if she's a reliable protagonist or not. It's a deft sleight of hand that occurs about midway through that flips the script wonderfully. Okuno directed a film called Slut, which I haven't seen, and the first sequence with the rat god in VHS 94, which I have. While the VHS segment really didn't impress me much, Okuno really shines by soaking in the beautiful yet cold and distant atmosphere of the streets of Romania. She surrounds Julia with foreign-speaking people and never uses subtitles to isolate the viewer as well as Julia from what is being said around her. It's a wonderful detail that heightens the sense of paranoia and isolation as Julia attempts to acclimate to this very different culture. In many ways, Watcher feels like a conspiracy-laden feature by Polanski, especially with the chilly street scenes and Julia's portrayal of a stranger in a strange land surrounded by people who may or may not have ill intent for her. At the same time, there is a wonderful retro sense to Watcher, reminiscent of the sultry thrillers of the 90s like Basic Instinct, Fatal Attraction, and the Million and One Skinamax thrillers, most of them starring Billy Zane. While it lacks the eroticism of films from that era, there's a definite air of perversion that accompanies this story about people watching people. Monroe's classic good looks also lends to the feel that this is a movie made not from this era. Watcher's not perfect. While I appreciate the ballsiness of the ending that doesn't shy away from blood and gore, I do think that it lacks some basic overall qualities that makes for a good mystery. There really are only a few speaking parts in Watcher, leaving the list of suspects of who the killer is very small. I feel while the ending does have a little stank on it in terms of high violence and gore, Okuno still ends up wrapping the whole movie in a somewhat conventional and predictable manner, something more akin to what I'm used to seeing in far bigger budgeted Hollywood films. That said, the levels of paranoia and suspicion couldn't be better achieved or any higher. Hitchcockian is a word that is often thrown around, and it qualifies when you're talking about Watcher. And Maika Monroe is spellbinding in every scene she's in, aka the entire film. So pull the shades, lock the door, prepare to look over your shoulder, and trust no one, and I think you'll be ready to check out this highly successful thriller called Watcher.
You're doomed to live the life you're meant to be, stuck inside your reality.